Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Andrew Jackson said this, and quite frankly, he is spot on. I quote, "The Bible is the rock on which our republic rests." Amen. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Monday, May 14th. Good morning, good morning. Call in. And a good morning to you. You know, it's something strange up in the sky, the sun. It feels good to see it and look at it this morning on a Monday, May 14th. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a get ready for a road trip right now at Les Schwab. Super good people. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I didn't call for it, but I'll say it.
Well, good.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I'll tell you what, my dear, you did a fantastic job. Real quick, real fast, what did you call for? And maybe I can answer your question before I go to the weather.
Okay, I am just so mad I can't see straight. I sat down with my cup of coffee and turned on Channel 11 for the local little news, you know, they have before you come on.
Yes, ma'am.
And they had a special coverage on the opening of the embassy in Jerusalem, which is fine. Well, they started singing the national anthem, and that stinking, dirty, rotten person anchor on CBS talked through the whole thing.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm serious. If you can go back and watch it, whatever report they had, he did not shut up talking about how it was a divided city and on and on and on. And, you know, I am an old lady, and I am so sick and tired of the disrespect that's going on in the country, just like you. And it just irritated me. But he talked through the whole national anthem.
You know, I so much appreciate your call and your comment. You've called before, and I absolutely thank you for your viewpoint. I'm running late, but I want to tell you how much I appreciate you, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, listen, you have a good day, and thanks for everything you do.
God bless you. Thank you so much. What a nice lady. I'm running a little bit late, but we got to get the weather on real quick from K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Hello, Roger. And the rest of the crew, they get there early in the morning at 7 a.m. with the best of tools and equipment in Heyburn area. Oh, I tell you what, they can help you and everybody with all the tools and equipment you need to finish any kind of a project. Get a hold of them today. K&R Rental. Number to call, 678-3122. They are the best. Right now, let's hurry with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this fine Monday, and honestly, not too bad, but expect precipitation and more thunderstorms in the forecast as we make our way through the work week. Mostly sunny skies for today, a light breeze out of the northeast, right around 10 miles an hour. Looking at mostly sunny skies with a high of 72. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 45. Tomorrow, scattered rain showers and thunderstorms off and on throughout the day. Partly sunny skies with a high of 71. Clouds rolling in for tomorrow night, bringing along some rain showers and more thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy skies with a low of 47. For Wednesday, again, 30% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. Partly sunny skies with a high of 73. And as we look ahead towards the end of the week on Thursday, again, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, high of 74. Friday, not going to change with a high of 72. That is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
You know, I'll tell you what, Gina does as good a comprehensive weather forecast as anybody. Thank you so much. Brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. Call them if you have questions about tools and equipment. They can help. They will help. K&R Rental, 678-3122. Wheels, old buddy. This word for Brad Little.
When electing a governor, character counts. That's why Congressman Mike Simpson is endorsing Brad Little. Mike Simpson knows that Brad Little's word is his bond. Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will protect our water rights from radical environmentalists. And Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will keep the Second Amendment strong. Here's Congressman Mike Simpson.
Brad Little is a third-generation Idaho rancher who will fight hard for our conservative values. Brad will never buckle to liberal pressure. He'll stand up to federal bureaucrats who want to take our water and our land, and he'll defend our Second Amendment rights to protect our families and our property. Brad Little is a tax cutter. Brad Little is pro-life. Brad Little is the conservative you can trust.
On May 15th, join Congressman Mike Simpson in voting for Brad Little. A rancher, a conservative, a courageous leader. Brad Little will be the strong governor Idaho needs. Paid for by Brad Little for Governor. Vicki Risch, Treasurer.
You know, I want to say that today is our last full day of all the primary advertising, and I want to thank Wheels over at our main studio for the excellent job he's done of being alert and aware of all the things that we've had to get on. And it's going to be a Chinese fire drill for one more day. Thank you very much. Don't forget our friends at Darrell's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, my, they can clean anything. And the restoration of items. And don't just throw those winter coats and everything in the closet and say, well, we'll get them clean next fall. No, do it now. It's better for the garments and everything else. Take them in there at Darrell's Cleaners. Kevin and Cindy do a wonderful job serving you. Darrell's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. We also want to take a little moment here to say thank you to our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. As you are aware, they are your heating, cooling, and electrical needs headquarters. And I urge you to go into a business that's been serving you for well over 50 years, almost 60 to be exact, with all your heating, cooling needs, electrical needs. They can help. They will help. Open at 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Calls are welcome and appreciated. Tomorrow, I urge you. I shouldn't have to urge you. You should have it on your schedule of things that must be done tomorrow to go to the polls and vote in the primaries. Lots and lots of people. I'm going to be very blunt. Some good, some bad. Some knowledgeable, some not. Are running for various offices, and I urge you to go to the polls and select your candidates of choice. Tomorrow is Election Day. Don't forget that, and don't give me the excuse, well, I was too busy, I need to clip my toenails. Don't tell me that. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. I want to urge you to stop in anytime, all the time, for the greatest of food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all kinds of great desserts. Everything for you. You're going to really enjoy it. Your family's going to enjoy it. Everybody's going to walk out of there with a big smile on their face. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley and at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. You stop in and see them today. Leonard Beck is going to be here later on, as a matter of fact, this morning. Leonard Beck wants your vote on May 15th. to be your District 1 Cassia County Commissioner. Leonard will be your voice for economic growth, protecting property rights, and helping promote education and job opportunities for our youth. Leonard Beck is a lifelong resident of Cassia County, and he wants to be a strong voice for you. Vote Leonard Beck for Cassia County Commissioner May 15th, paid for by the committee to elect Leonard Beck, District 1 Cassia County Commissioner, Devon Rucker, Treasurer. Wheels real fast, and then we're going to get a chance to go into our first subject matter. Let's have this word for Tommy Ahlquist.
Jeff, what are you doing out here in the barn?
Just shoveling horse manure, but not as much as those professional politicians are shoveling.
Oh, yeah. You hear their latest ridiculous attacks on conservative Republican Tommy Ahlquist?
No, what?
That he's a Democrat.
You're kidding.
Yeah, what a joke. Tommy's voted Republican in every election. He's never voted for Hillary Clinton or any Democrat. In fact, he's a top Republican donor who's donated to both Butch Otter and Brad Little.
And he's endorsed by Mitt Romney.
Yeah, Tommy was endorsed by Mitt Romney because Tommy Ahlquist is a lifelong conservative. And like President Trump, he'll shake up the status quo.
29 years of professional politicians who are desperate to hold on to their power is long enough.
Jeff, where are you going?
I'm going to vote conservative political outsider Tommy Ahlquist.
Hey, wait. I'm going to vote for Tommy, too.
Conservative political outsider Dr. Tommy Ahlquist. Strong leadership, fresh approach. Paid for by Tommy for Idaho. Orville Thompson, Treasurer.
Thank you very much and welcome back. I've got to tell you about a bill. Just when you think that the abnormalcy of California can't get any worse, oh yeah, it can. The California Assembly last Thursday discussed a bill that would, listen now, replace Abraham Lincoln and George Washington's birthday with International Socialist Work Day as a paid holiday. So in other words, they want a communist holiday to replace Abraham Lincoln and or George Washington's birthday on the calendar. And California Democrat Assemblyman Miguel Santiago, that ought to lead you down the path of understanding, introduced this bill, AB 3042, which would allow schools, listen to this very carefully, it would allow schools to replace Washington's Day and Lincoln's Day with President's Day and install an International Workers' Day, conventionally known as May Day. Well, it didn't pass, but it's hanging in limbo to where it might come back again. And a California State Assembly member, Matthew Harper, got up and said, I'm aghast that a bill like this would be able to get through the committee. And he said, in regards to California, and it's so true, are we in competition to be the laughing stock of the United States? And he said, and this is worth remembering right here, are we going that far to the left? This is ridiculous. This is insane. This is un-American. California and their legislature and the Looney Tunes that are running that state with Governor Jerry Brown all need to be replaced. It's absolutely insane what they're doing. Replace Lincoln or Washington's birthday with a communist holiday? Are you kidding me? Where in the world? When are we going to stand up and say enough is enough? And like that lady that called just a few moments ago, God bless her, for calling about CBS News with an atrociously stupid attitude away from our national anthem. They should have shut up. Now, I can tell that lady was absolutely correct because I was listening to the newscast on Fox when they had the opening ceremonies over in Jerusalem regarding the opening of the embassy. And everybody, the newscast, everyone shut up and listened for the national anthem of the United States. No commentators on Fox said anything. They played the national anthem in its entirety. Has CBS lost its mind and its decency? Caller, I'm going to be right with you. As you know, I'm very tied up on spots, so I'll be right with you. Hang tough. I'll get you right after I have these good words. Don't forget Pomerell Place, a place for senior living in Burley, and they're located at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. And the telephone number to call to find out more, 677-8212. And I'll tell you what, don't live at home alone with the safety hazards, possible injuries, poor nutrition, missed medication. No. Senior living at Pomerell Place offers the ability for seniors to maintain their independence both safely and comfortably. Call them today, 677-8212. Pomerell Place, a place for senior living, 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. Also, our thanks go out to our dear friends at Dino Septic Service. They do the job that you and I don't want to do. You don't want to stand out there pumping that septic system. Oh, no. Well, I'll tell you what, septic tanks pumped, and a backhoe service, and sewer and sink drain lines clean, liquid waste removal, so much more. Fast, fair, friendly service. What more can they offer? They're there to help you. Number to call, 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638. Dino Septic Service with a big truck that says smells cargo on the way, serving you. Caller, good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, Zeb. As if Maxine Waters was not the worst one in Congress, she had to open her big mouth, and I mean big mouth, wide enough that I could have stuck my fist in, and I would like to have done that. But anyway, she's complaining now that the auto dealers in America are being discriminating against blacks and poor people and everything else because of the way they do financing. Now, this is a terrible issue that she's talking about, but it's already been settled by Congress.
Yeah.
And she's bringing it up because she wants to keep this racial card going and going and going.
Let me just interrupt you for a minute. Representative Maxine Waters, and if you don't want to have your voice associated with my comments, you can hang up the phone, but Keith, I think you will agree with me. Representative Maxine Waters is a black racist. I'll say it again. She is a black racist. She does nothing but stir racism and hate against all others in society, and primarily and objectively against the Trump administration. She is a very low-class woman serving in politics and should be serving behind bars.
The neat thing about it is there was a congressman from, I think it's
Pennsylvania,
and he stood up to her, and he looked good because he told her exactly where the cow ate the cabbage.
Well, there's no reason to take this racism and this absolute hatred to the floor of the House. And Maxine Waters is a despicable human being that is just indicative of what's going on in the state of California. When I heard the California State Assembly was voting to throw out Washington's birthday or Lincoln's birthday and put it in with a communist workers' holiday, I went berserk.
Oh, yeah, but you know, on these things just like this Maxine Water deal, there is nobody in the chamber except her and this other congressman. And she's talking like she's talking to a crowd of 3 million people or whatever.
No, there were others in the chambers, Keith. There really were. The cameras did not pick up all the people that were there. It doesn't make any difference if there were 100 in there or 1,000 or 1. All I'm saying, and I agree with you totally, Maxine Waters is absolutely nothing more than a turmoil-inclined woman that wants to stir up racism in this country. She is despicable and representing the Democratic Party.
The worst thing of the whole deal is that she will be reelected because she has a grip on those people in her district like nobody will ever know.
Unfortunately, I think you're right. Keith, it's nice to hear from you this morning. God bless you, my dear friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, sir. I want to remind you, too, that Tim Darrington wants your vote tomorrow on May 15th as Cassia County Commissioner, District 3. Tim knows that Cassia County has a lot to offer with its heritage and history, and he wants to help move the county forward. I bit my tongue. Tim Darrington has been very involved in updating county policy reimbursement and in updating Cassia's software. Re-elect Tim Darrington as Cassia County Commissioner, District 3, tomorrow, May 15th, paid for by Darrington for Commissioner, Gail Erickson, Treasurer. Wheels, a good word, please, for Brad Little.
When electing a governor, character counts. That's why Congressman Mike Simpson is endorsing Brad Little. Mike Simpson knows that Brad Little's word is his bond. Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will protect our water rights from radical environmentalists. And Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will keep the Second Amendment strong. Here's Congressman Mike Simpson.
Brad Little is a third-generation Idaho rancher who will fight hard for our conservative values. Brad will never buckle to liberal pressure. He'll stand up to federal bureaucrats who want to take our water and our land, and he'll defend our Second Amendment rights to protect our families and our property. Brad Little is a tax cutter. Brad Little is pro-life. Brad Little is the conservative you can trust.
On May 15th, join Congressman Mike Simpson in voting for Brad Little. A rancher, a conservative, a courageous leader. Brad Little will be the strong governor Idaho needs. Paid for by Brad Little for Governor. Vicki Risch, Treasurer.
And thank you very much. And real quick, I want to remind you, too, about if you've got an owie, a ache, a pain, a strain, whatever, you better get a hold of Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I can tell you by my own personal testimony, they really help me a lot, and they can help you get back to being you. They're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, with all the great physical therapists headed up by Nick Greenwell and the rest of the crew. They know their business, and they can help you get back to being you. Hydrotherapy pool, the only kind of in its existence here in the Magic Valley. Absolutely. I walked 1,000,000 miles in that pool, and it will help. Please call them today at 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. And going along with what we're talking about California, and people say, well, that's California. We're over there on the left coast. Doesn't affect us in Idaho. Yes, it does, and very possibly will. You know, it's turned into a very serious demonic area, California. I know a lot of people in California. Now, that's not boasting. I'm just being honest with you. If you can't stand the honesty, then turn the dial. But I know a lot of people in California, and I don't care what part of the state they're from, Northern California, Middle California, down in Southern California. I've rodeoed all over that state, announced rodeos all over that state, so I have a lot of friends there. And right now, it's a pathetic mess. It is a pathetic mess in the larger cities. Why? Because of complete stupidity and liberalism and a lack of leadership. You have no idea of the filth that is occurring in these larger communities. You have no idea about the dangers that lurk in California with the drug needles that are piled up and pushed to the curb in 2-3 feet deep massive piles. The human filth, the absolute low quality of life with the drugs and the rapes and the murders and the beatings and the homelessness. This is America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. But through liberal leadership in California, it's turned into the home of the despicably without home, without hope, without anything. The Democrats are supposedly leading that state, and then one Democrat that I absolutely am afraid of, Kamala Harris, came out last week and said, well, maybe they need to smoke more marijuana so they can kind of just leave their troubles behind. Let those words sink in. The Democrats have not a platform to stand on that has any human decency. They don't have anything that's going to create a better America. All they have is a I hate Trump, and no matter what happens, that's where I'm going to stay 24/7, 365. That is despicable. They're not doing anything to make their situation any better. I'm going to give away some cookies right now, and we thank our friends over to Sophie's Chatterbox in Rupert. My goodness sakes, what a wonderful, wonderful place to eat, and they're located at 530 East Street in Rupert. Great, great restaurant, and what a bakery for all the cookies and the pies and the cakes, wedding cakes. They've got it all for you at Sophie's Chatterbox. So be sure and stop over and see them today. Now, this question, I don't know if on a day where I'm so doggone busy I should ask. It's a little bit more difficult, but if you follow TV and TV series, etc., this shouldn't be that hard. And I'm going to narrow it down to just one aspect. On the television show The Rifleman, with Chuck Connors as the star, Chuck Connors was also a great, great athlete. As a matter of fact, he played 3 professional sports. He did. And his longest term as a baseball player in the major leagues was with what team? On the TV show The Rifleman, with Chuck Connors as the star, what Major League Baseball team did he play the longest before he resumed his acting career? Give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What professional Major League Baseball team did the Rifleman, Chuck Connors, play with the longest in his Major League Baseball career? And tell me the name of that team. Quickly, call me, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call, don't forget, if you've got a good man working for you and doing the job for you, you keep him. And that's exactly why you want someone with integrity serving you, and that's Representative Fred Wood, District 27. He wants your vote tomorrow to be reelected as your district representative for 27. Fred Wood, paid for by Steve Westfall, Treasurer. Now, come on, quickly help me on this. What professional baseball team did Chuck Connors, the star of The Rifleman, play the longest for in his Major League Baseball career? Quickly, give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I can see a lot of you out there scratching your head going, Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, let's give it a try. Brooklyn Dodgers.
Now, you know what I'm going to do? I might even buy you a set of cookies away from the real answer. He did play 4 games for the Brooklyn Dodgers, but that wasn't the longest that he played for any professional team. So you're right in some sense, but wrong on the entirety of the question. Does that make sense?
You bet. Do you want to know the other answer I had?
Go ahead.
Chicago Cubs.
You're a stinker, you know that, don't you? Who is calling?
Devon Rucker.
Devon, you son of a gun, you had it right all along. And, okay, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. How much more do you know about Chuck Connors?
Well, not a lot. I just know I remember I really liked the show The Rifleman.
All right. Now, did you...
I did know he was quite the athlete. I didn't know all of the different teams that he played for.
In 1951, Chuck Connors played 66 games as first baseman for the Chicago Cubs. That was the longest tenure in the major leagues. But, Devon, and you got to share your cookies, be honest with me now, did you know that he also played professional basketball with the Boston Celtics and was drafted by the NFL Chicago Bears?
Well, you know, I didn't know that.
Well, you do now. Now get sugar cookies and share them with me.
Sounds like a great deal.
Devon, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
God bless you. Appreciate it. Call Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, and tell them when you be over to get your cookies. That's really the truth. Chuck Connors was a great, great athlete and played 3 sports, baseball, basketball, and football. As a matter of fact, I did a little research on his playing with the Celtics, and I found out that he was credited, if you want to say this, for breaking one of the first glass backboards when he was playing for the Celtics. He took a shot and the rim came off. Just a little trivia there. Don't forget, Idaho needs Nonini. Bob Nonini for Lieutenant Governor. Vote May 15th for proven effective conservative leadership. Bob Nonini has 25 years' experience in local and state Republican politics. He believes in quality, affordable health care, parental choice in education, and wants to create a positive business climate with limited government involvement. Vote for Bob Nonini for Lieutenant Governor on May 15th, paid for by the committee to elect Bob Nonini Lieutenant Governor. Treasurer R. Scott Hogue. Woo! Busy time. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Illegal aliens, and this is quite a topic for conversation, and we've got to get something done. But now it's got to the point where it's infringing upon tax-paying Americans and also our youngsters, young men and women that want to go to college. Rutgers University, I'm going to single out primarily here in this conversation, but there are many, many more, you know that, across the board, that are trying to develop and get funding for illegal aliens to go to school, over and above your sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters, etc. And this has absolutely turned into a very sore subject with me, and we're going to continue to fight this on this program. Your son or daughter that wants to go to a major learning institution, whether it's the University of Michigan, Rutgers University, Cal State, whatever, not giving any preference whatsoever, even though they're legal citizens, and people are trying to take that money away from them and give it to illegal aliens to go to school over your relation. This is insane. This is insane that education in this country now is being held hostage by political correctness, and they're trying to take the money and the funding away from our kids and give it to illegal aliens. Your thoughts. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a jingle on the landline. I would love to hear from you. Please give me a call. This man is running unopposed, but I'll tell you what, tomorrow, vote for him. Senator Kelly Anthon, District 27, proven leadership with strong conservative values. Senator Kelly Anthon wants to preserve our Western small-town way of life, serving you in the Idaho Senate. Kelly believes in low taxes, the Second Amendment, and minimal government in our lives. Remember, re-elect Senator Kelly Anthon tomorrow, May 15th, District 27, paid for by the committee to elect Kelly Anthon, Idaho State Senate. Thank you very much. Wheels, can we also at this time have that good word for Tommy Ahlquist?
Jeff, what are you doing out here in the barn?
Just shoveling horse manure, but not as much as those professional politicians are shoveling.
Oh, yeah. You hear their latest ridiculous attacks on conservative Republican Tommy Ahlquist?
No, what?
That he's a Democrat.
You're kidding.
Yeah, what a joke. Tommy's voted Republican in every election. He's never voted for Hillary Clinton or any Democrat. In fact, he's a top Republican donor who's donated to both Butch Otter and Brad Little.
And he's endorsed by Mitt Romney.
Yeah, Tommy was endorsed by Mitt Romney because Tommy Ahlquist is a lifelong conservative. And like President Trump, he'll shake up the status quo.
29 years of professional politicians who are desperate to hold on to their power is long enough.
Jeff, where are you going?
I'm going to vote conservative political outsider Tommy Ahlquist.
Hey, wait. I'm going to vote for Tommy, too.
Conservative political outsider Dr. Tommy Ahlquist. Strong leadership, fresh approach. Paid for by Tommy for Idaho. Orville Thompson, treasurer.
I do not know if you have heard about the ads that have been put together for television, and Tom Stiers, the billionaire leftist so-called liberal Democrat that hates America, has put these ads together, and I saw one of the ads at about 4:30 this morning. And what they are is a condemnation of anyone that would think about becoming conservative, that would think about becoming a Republican, or that would even consider voting for conservative Republicans. It's an absolutely low-class ad. And the ad that I saw this morning showed a mother sitting on a couch and with a glass of wine in front of her. And she acted very distraught. She said, well, when my son went to college, I had hopes and aspirations that he would turn into a great young man. And then the ad really darkens, and it talks about how her son went to college and saw the light, evidently, and wanted to become a fiscal conservative. Oh, for the liberals, that was a knife in the back. And this mother started railing against Republicans and how absolutely evil they are, and almost inferring that they're all members of the KKK. And then at the end of the commercial or the ad, she kind of sits back and just slugs down the wine, and her whole life is ruined. That's the kind of filth, that's the kind of absolute disparity that is going on in political advertising today, and I've had it. The reason I bring this up this morning is that I have some samples, and I'm sure you probably got some at home, of the absolute low-class advertising that is going on with political campaigns today. And tomorrow is Election Day. And I want you to vote with both your head and your heart as to who you want to represent you from this primary going into the fall election. But I'm going to tell you that tomorrow morning on the program, I'm maybe not by name, but I'm going to blast some of these people and their campaigns for being as low, vile, and dirty as they have been. Don't give me this garbage, well, so-and-so did it, so I'm going to do this, only I'm going to do it worse. That sounds like grade school activity. But some of the political ads and some of the advertising by outside interests have been absolutely at the bottom of the barrel. I've never in all my life seen some of the low-class advertising that's out there in front of the public. One of which I will talk about. I'm not saying I advocate him for a lieutenant general or lieutenant governor. I'm not saying anything about this man, Steve Yates. But the smear campaign that came out against him, paid for by Idahoans Fighting Corruption, Josh Packer, treasurer, you should be so damned ashamed that you'll never raise your head again. This kind of anti and negative political advertising does not deserve to be here in the state of Idaho. Caller, quickly, I've got a weather forecast. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. What time can you start voting in the morning? My wife's headed to Arizona.
You know, I think the polls are going to be opening at 8 a.m., and I'll stand corrected if I'm wrong on that, and I guess he hung up and the dial tone's on the air. But if you're headed for Arizona, you're going to be headed down for a lot of heat. Boy, it's getting warm down there. I'm going to say I think the polls open at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and will stay open till 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. If there's any changes on those poll times, give me a call. I would certainly appreciate that. By the way, Wheels, could we please have this good word for Fred Wood?
Re-elect Representative Fred Wood, District 27. Here's Fred's views on education.
Seth, education is the basis of a skilled labor force that keeps our economy vibrant and growing. In the last 4 years, the legislature has increased new funding for secondary, professional, technical, and higher education by more than $100 million per year, ensuring an education system capable of meeting our future workforce needs.
Vote May 15th. Representative Fred Wood, District 27, paid for by the committee to re-elect Fred Wood, Steve Westfall, Treasurer.
No, I'm really serious, folks. Take a look at the political advertising out there. There are some that are absolutely first class. There are some that absolutely want to tell you what they want to do and how they want to get it done. And then there are others that are nothing more than sleaze. Caller, I'm going to ask your patience. Stay with me 60 seconds. I've got to get a weather forecast on quickly. Sponsored by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. And the number to call for your hearing health, 312-0957. They are dedicated to serving people with hearing loss of all ages and all their family members. Please, 312-0957. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this fine Monday, and honestly, not too bad, but expect precipitation and more thunderstorms in the forecast as we make our way through the work week. Mostly sunny skies for today, a light breeze out of the northeast, right around 10 miles an hour. Looking at mostly sunny skies with a high of 72. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 45. Tomorrow, scattered rain showers and thunderstorms off and on throughout the day, partly sunny skies with a high of 71. Clouds rolling in for tomorrow night, bringing along what? Some rain showers and more thunderstorms, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 47. For Wednesday, again, 30% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, partly sunny skies with a high of 73. And as we look ahead towards the end of the week on Thursday, again, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, high of 74. Friday, not going to change with a high of 72. That is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. Brought to everybody by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. They help me. They can help you. Please call them today, 312-0957. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Pickup serving you for your hearing health. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning again. You know, in all the years that I've followed Idaho politics, I think this has been the dirtiest campaign year that I've seen. And these ads against Tommy Hallquist in favor of Little, it's just disgusting because you know somebody is lying along the way, but it all depends on who's got the most dollars to get their ad out.
No, Keith, I'm not going to point my finger at any one ad. This one here that I was talking about was a brochure that was printed out and sent, and I received it last week, and the inferment of corruption and negativity in this ad, I'm telling you, if I had these people that put this ad together in this room, I think we'd have a real personality change on their part, because I wouldn't let them out of this room until they apologized. The sleaze and the filth and the negativity in the political advertising has gone too far. And if you can't rest on your own laurels and tell people what you're going to try to do and how you're going to serve them, then by gosh, get out of politics. But I don't like the negativity that is prevailing itself. It's hurting everyone, not just certain factions.
You know, on the freedom of speech, the First Amendment, I love it, and I hope we'll always have it to be with us. But why can't we fact-check some of these ads? They put anything on there they want.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Doesn't matter whether it's true or false, and then they hit it really, really hard, and the people don't know any different. It is no different than the people over in Iran. When they show them burning the American flags and everything, these are not the people of Iran. These are those stupid ones that are right up front making a lot of noise. But this doesn't represent the people, but yet we don't know any better.
Right, I got to run, Keith. I totally agree with you, and I guarantee you that I'm going to have some sharp comments tomorrow about this. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right, sir. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental Sales Service and Parts, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Hello, Juan. Hope you're feeling better. And also Eli at 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin and the Nampa location. They've got it all for you. All the equipment, whether it's equipment rentals or retail equipment sales. Let me tell you something. They've got all the Walker mowers, and after all this rain, woo! you, your lawn's a jungle out there. You better check on the Walker mowers today. And all the Bobcats, they've got everything right there. And a sandbox out behind the business to help you learn how to run the equipment. Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa, serving you. Absolutely. Hey, don't forget that Representative Clark Kaufman, a Filer area farmer and small businessman, is running for re-election for State Representative, District 25B. Kaufman has leadership experience with multiple statewide organizations and received the Wayne Meyer Leadership Idaho Agriculture Statesman Award this year, 2018. He encourages you to register and vote for Clark Kaufman on May 15th, paid for by Kaufman for Idaho State Representative, District 25 Seat B, Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This next story, just really, it drove me nuts when I heard it. I thought, what are you talking about? There's a nitwit out there, some kind of a baby psychologist, I believe over in the United Kingdom, that is coming out and advocating that, and you're not going to believe this, hang on, that when parents are changing their baby's diaper, they should ask permission first. I know. I know. I know you're going, well, they can't talk. I know. But this is where the lunacy comes in. The world is really going upside down. They say, this person says, and some of his advocates that follow his thinking, they say by asking the baby if it wants to have its diaper changed, it invites a non-communicable agreement with the baby. You see what's going on in our world today? The lunacy, the absolute off-the-charts dumbness is not, there's nothing you can do right. I mean, whether it's your speech patterns, the free speech in the First Amendment is gone, and now they want to take away the Second Amendment. They want to do everything to have us living where if you say something, do something, or insinuate something, or think something, you can be turned into the thought and word police. And now this guy and his advocates want you to ask permission before you change the diaper on a baby? Don't you dare, anyone, call up and criticize these stories, because this shows the lunacy that's going on in our world today. Absolute lunacy. Caller, good morning. Quickly, I've got a minute and a half.
Good morning, sir. That is proof that there is a mental disorder on the left.
Oh, my.
Anybody who has more than 3 brain cells can figure that one out.
Doug, right there, though, is a statement that needs to be pursued. 3 brain cells. Well, they may have them, but evidently the electrodes aren't charging them up.
Exactly, buddy. I mean, this is proof where they're going and what they're saying and how they're thinking. If that would have happened 40 years ago, they'd have put them in an asylum.
I know it.
And they're getting away with it. It just amazes me with the bovine droppings that they keep coming up with.
Well, look at the story about California wanting to drop Washington and or Lincoln's birthday and replace it with a communist holiday. That should never even be thought of.
Exactly, and I like that one representative that stood up out there and asked him if they are trying to make California the laughing stock of the nation. Well, he's a little late on that. There's a lot of people laughing about California. There's a lot of people leaving California.
Yes.
And I hope and I pray the ones that are leaving California leave the Democrat ideas behind that are moving to the red states and assimilate into the red states so they can keep the red states like they are.
I have a sneaky feeling, old buddy, that we're going to incorporate many into our fold, and they may reside in Sun Valley.
And Boise.
Yes. I got to run, Doug. You can hear another. I'll try to get one more call in real quick.
For the seniors.
Hey, God bless you. Thank you very much. Caller, 30 seconds. That's all I've got. Quickly.
Okay, you know, a few years ago, we had this maniac called Dr. Spock. About half the world was following his ideas, and he couldn't even raise his own family. That's how ridiculous some of these things that they bring out are.
I agree with you. Jerry, thank you for calling in, buddy. Good to hear from you. Thank you.
You bet. Have a great day, but give me longer next time. 30 seconds isn't very much.
I'm sorry, buddy. Thanks.
You and your whole audience.
All right, thank you much. Don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with a great big get ready for a road trip special on all the great tires. For your car, pickup, and SUV, my goodness, yes. Horse trailers, boat trailers, whatever. They've got all the tires, all the different tread designs at prices you can't afford to pass up. So get in there today and check out the best in brake service and front end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. All of this with the best of service. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Absolutely the best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Right now, Wheels is going to take us up to news from CBS with this word for Tommy Ahlquist, and then music. I'll be back in 7. Good morning, and welcome back, Zeb at the Ranch. Thank you. Brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with a get ready for a road trip special. You stop in and see them today, along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Wheels, could we have this good word for Western Waste?
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, do not forget. Get on the route service, get rid of your garbage. Goodbye. It's gone. They'll come by weekly and pick it up, and believe me, it saves you all the hassle and the time. Excellent people, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, call them today, 734-6969. Right now, this good word for Brad Little.
When electing a governor, character counts. That's why Congressman Mike Simpson is endorsing Brad Little. Mike Simpson knows that Brad Little's word is his bond. Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will protect our water rights from radical environmentalists. And Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will keep the Second Amendment strong. Here's Congressman Mike Simpson.
Brad Little is a third-generation Idaho rancher who will fight hard for our conservative values. Brad will never buckle to liberal pressure. He'll stand up to federal bureaucrats who want to take our water and our land, and he'll defend our Second Amendment rights to protect our families and our property. Brad Little is a tax cutter. Brad Little is pro-life. Brad Little is the conservative you can trust.
On May 15th, join Congressman Mike Simpson in voting for Brad Little. A rancher, a conservative, a courageous leader. Brad Little will be the strong governor Idaho needs. Paid for by Brad Little for governor. Vicki Risch, treasurer.
And thank you very much. Don't forget Terry Kramer running for re-election as Twin Falls County Commissioner. And Twin Falls County is strong and prosperous, and Terry Kramer wants to keep it that way and growing into the future. Don't forget, when you go to the polls tomorrow on May 15th, vote for Terry. Vote for Terry Kramer for Twin Falls County Commissioner, the best choice. Don't forget, paid for by the committee to elect Terry Kramer, Les Prater, treasurer. Thank you very much. I am so sorry, folks. My voice all of a sudden just kind of gave out on me there for a moment. I apologize for that. And we also want to remind you, Kent Searle wants your vote to become District 3 Cache County Commissioner on May 15th tomorrow. Kent Searle, lifelong resident of Cassia County, has the experience of being a farmer and a dairyman and a service to you as an EMT and first responder, and he has gained your trust serving on the Ag Advisory Committee and the Gateway Powerline Committee. Kent Searle says, together we can make Cassia County even better. Kent Searle for District 3, Cassia County Commissioner, May 15th, Dan Gammon, Treasurer. My sincere apologies for having that cough in my throat. I still can't get rid of that thing after almost 5 weeks. I apologize. Frosty Woldridge, my dear friend back in Golden, Colorado, I am so sorry to keep you waiting, but let me preface my introduction of you by saying this latest piece that you have written called In America, Distinctly Different Parallel Societies Being Imported, if that doesn't wake somebody up, nothing will.
Well, thank you, Zeb, and good morning to each of you listening. I hope that you go to newswithviews.com or CapitolHillOutsider.com and read this latest, because it's very disturbing. And I lead it off with a quote from Omar Ahmad, the Director of Council on American Islamic Relations. And this man and this group is literally should be designated as a terrorist group here in America, because it has one prime objective and directive, and that is to overthrow the U.S. Constitution and install Sharia law. And he said, and I quote, "Islam isn't in America to be equal to any faith, but to become dominant. The Quran should be the highest authority in America, and Islam the only accepted religion on earth," unquote. That's pretty arrogant, but you have to understand that that is the command of the Quran. It is a political, religious, economic system that absolutely tolerates no free speech, no women's rights, no children's rights, no animal rights, no equality, and no one's choice of dress. You're simply dominated by this system. And it's making huge inroads in America, and Ann Corcoran, who runs, and I would encourage anyone to go and listen to the entire interview in its totality, www.refugeeresettlementwatch.wordpress.com. She talks about a Somalian she interviewed in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where there are now 120,000 Somalians, virtually all of them living on welfare. That's what they do, just completely live on welfare. And we're the ones paying for it.
Right.
And we keep importing them all over the country, whether it's in Lewiston, Maine, or whether it's in Denver, Colorado, or whether it's in Fremont, California, or whether it's right there in Idaho, Twin Falls, and I don't know how many you have already there in Boise, Idaho, and so forth. But they're coming, folks, and they got a different idea about life and a completely incompatible system that literally threatens to displace us and or create parallel societies in our country that have nothing to do with the United States, its Constitution, our way of life, and certainly our culture.
You know, Frosty, why? And this is a very simplistic question, but why can't people see that they're not huddling up? They're not calling a play in the huddle. They're not trying to keep the defense from understanding what they're doing. They're being very open about it, and they're saying, hey, we're here, you're going to take us, and we're going to take you over. Why can't people see this?
Well, again, the leaders of this country and the mass of Americans don't understand it because it's not in their community yet, but they are being seeded all over this country. It's called Hajura, and it's the Muslim Islamic method for seeding a country with Islamists. And at first they're nice and kind and they're sweet and they do their thing and so forth, and then all of a sudden, because we've got an Islamic center right here in Golden, Colorado. I mean, it's right down there on Main Street. It's got the big Golden Dome and the whole 9 yards. The women walk into the back door because they're not allowed to be equal to the men, and the men run in the front door, and they're totally separated. I mean, this is what we're facing. And this one Somali, in the interview, he just said, just get with the program. We are here to stay. We never left our Somali heritage or culture. That's what America is missing. Please stop forcing us to your ways. You're old and have very old ideas. Get with the program. I'm trying to have my son to be the first Muslim black governor of the state of Minnesota within the next 20 years. He's going to run as a Democrat. You sit here and you go, holy catfish. That's what we're faced with at this point.
I do not care on this program, Frosty, and you and I have been friends for close to 20 years. You know I'm being honest with you. I do not care about the influence of what's happening within Twin Falls and the Magic Valley area with the bringing in of refugees and also the Muslim influence. But what I do care about is an infiltration of a culture that does not and will not be compatible with our Western lifestyle, especially when later on in your article there was a Arab homily that kind of tells it like it is, and I read it and I quote, "Kiss the hand of your enemy until you can cut it off."
That says it all. And this Somalian says it right here, and I'm quoting, "Why should we assimilate? Do you know how stupid you sound? Guess what? We're here to stay, and we'll transform America for the better. Get that through your thick, ignorant skull. You need to see a doctor. It's inevitable that Somalis will be taking over, and there isn't anything you can do about it." Again, what's wrong with Somalis taking over? It is inevitable. This land doesn't belong to either of us. It is our time to populate it and rule it. Go back to Europe or wherever you're from if you don't like it. Folks, this is what we're facing. And your two senators, my two senators, and all 100 senators they're not only not doing anything about this, they're encouraging more immigration, mass immigration, and Muslim immigration, which in the end is literally going to completely destroy the fabric and the cohesion of the American society and we as Americans. That's literally what's coming as surely as the dawn.
All right, I'm going to take a quick break here, Frosty. As you know, this is the last day of political awareness ads prior to our primary, so stay tuned just for a moment, if you would, please. And, Wheels, could we have this word for Tommy Ahlquist, please?
Jeff, what are you doing out here in the barn?
Just shoveling horse manure, but not as much as those professional politicians are shoveling.
Oh, yeah. You heard their latest ridiculous attacks on conservative Republican Tommy Ahlquist?
No, what?
That he's a Democrat.
You're kidding.
Yeah, what a joke. Tommy's voted Republican in every election. He's never voted for Hillary Clinton or any Democrat. In fact, he's a top Republican donor who's donated to both Butch Otter and Brad Little.
And he's endorsed by Mitt Romney.
Yeah, Tommy was endorsed by Mitt Romney because Tommy Ahlquist is a lifelong conservative. And like President Trump, he'll shake up the status quo.
29 years of professional politicians who are desperate to hold on to their power is long enough.
Jeff, where are you going?
I'm going to vote conservative political outsider Tommy Ahlquist.
Hey, wait. I'm going to vote for Tommy, too.
Conservative political outsider Dr. Tommy Ahlquist. Strong leadership, fresh approach. Paid for by Tommy for Idaho. Orville Thompson, treasurer.
Thank you very much, and don't forget, too, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you. Absolutely serving is the key word. When there's the passing of a loved one, they are right there to help you, and please remember the number to call, 436-5636. Always serving you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, Joel Heward at 710 6th Street in Rupert, and Joel also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Also, real quick, I want to remind you about our friends at Ark Animal Hospital. They have the warm hearts for the cold noses, a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small. They love them all, and they can take care of them all. Don't forget to have your pets with all the proper identification. They've got all that material over there at Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. The number to call, 678-1177. Remember, Ark Animal Hospital, warm hearts for cold noses. We're on the air with Frosty Woldridge. And Frosty, I believe we have a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller, quickly, you're on the air.
Well, Somalia has no government at all. It's the ultimate in chaos. If you've ever watched a Somali pirate attack a tanker, you say to yourself, Well, these people are completely insane. They're fearless. Do you think that the rule of law, they wouldn't even understand the rule of law? They never have. If they ever did, I don't know when that was, but this is the kind of chaos that is coming into our country. The other day I was working at a job, and the Hispanic gentleman who ran it told me that the Hispanics were trying to rob him, and they would do anything to do it. They meant nothing. It didn't matter that he was an Hispanic brother. He was going to rob him because these Hispanics that wanted to rob, they felt that that's what they have to do. That's just their culture. It's called chaos, and we don't need it here. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, because I think he's spot on, Frosty.
Well, he is spot on, and that's exactly correct. In Southern California, if your property isn't chained down, if it isn't in a secure facility, if it's not in a shed, if it's not in the house, and even if it's in the house, it will be gone. Because that's how Mexicans operate, and I'll absolutely guarantee you that, because Mexico is a corrupt third world country, and corruption is the mechanism by which a third world country operates. Well, you have to understand that Somalia is a failed state. I mean, 90% of the Somalians, if not more, don't have a toilet. They defecate on the land. They urinate on the land. That's why you can't drink the water in Africa. You can't drink water from lakes or streams or anywhere because it's all poison because of fecal matter drying up and blowing into the lakes and the water systems. And, I mean, Somalia is a nightmare. And now they're over here, again, 120,000 of them in Minneapolis alone, all of them on welfare, and they've created a complete, they call it Somaliland. I interviewed a couple just last summer, and they said, yeah, nobody goes there, it's Somaliland, and they're all living on welfare for the rest of their lives. And the question is, why did the Senate and the House and the Congress and anyone up there in power allow this to happen? Because right now, these Muslims have 90 individuals running for public office all the way to the governorship of Michigan right now. And senators. Keith Ellison, who is a complete Muslim Brotherhood thug, is a House of Representatives there in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And he's working to install Sharia law. I'm telling you, we are in for one hell of a nightmare as these Muslims. Now, the official numbers show them at 3.3 million, but some of them are boasting somewhere around 7 million plus.
Right.
Can you imagine when they get around 20 million? We're talking about a religious virus that has no antidote, has no cure, has no absolute chance of being transformed into a first world enlightened, free speech, constitutional mind. These people are bent on the Quran. It's got them. They simply can't get away from it. And now they are going to be pushing it on us all over our country as they continue to spread out, as it says, Shajura, or seeding of America or any host country to ultimately take it over and install Sharia law.
You know, and talking about Representative Keith Ellison, and we got a little feedback, Wheels. Watch that on the line, please. I want you to highlight, last week, at the beginning of last week, he was pictured at a rally wearing an I Believe in Open and No Borders t-shirt. This is a representative of the United States of America, representing Minnesota. And this man, Keith Ellison, a Muslim that absolutely wants to see nothing but absolute turnover in this United States, wearing an Open Borders, I Believe in Anybody Can Go Where They Want to t-shirt. This man is an idiot.
Oh, no, he's a clever idiot. He actually has been seen with Louis Farrakhan, and Louis Farrakhan, if he had the power, he would destroy America in a heartbeat. Louis Farrakhan is one of the greatest revolutionaries in this country. He is one of the most dangerous. But with men like Keith Ellison, and I think there's 2 Muslims in the House of Representatives right now. But as these people continue to grow these enclaves, just like a Maxine Waters, who is just about as bright as a blade of grass, or probably a gnat. I mean, the lady is intellectually a complete absolutely a moron. And she just doesn't have a brain cell. She can open her big fat mouth, but she doesn't have anything coming out of it that is intelligent. Well, what happens when you get more enclaves like the ones that elected her to the House of Representatives, or that Hudson girl in Florida, or Sheila Jackson, or John Lewis down there in Florida, or that Hunter guy, Hunter Johnson? God, that guy, he's in the House of Representatives. He couldn't pass a third-grade math test. And so you get more of these Muslims who are a little bit more clever. They're going to be starting to do unbelievable damage to the U.S. Constitution and to our state laws and to our way of life. I am beyond me. I would ask everyone, again, go to newswithviewstoday.com. You'll see my picture. Click this on. We have got to start a national movement to stop all immigration into this country, especially stop all immigration, but definitely stop all Muslim immigration, because the more their numbers grow, the less we have to say about it, and they are creating parallel societies until those parallel societies continue to grow past our ability to even manage them. And that's what creates a fragmented, fractured, and literally a nasty future for all Americans.
I could not agree more. I could not agree more. One of the last paragraphs in your great writing starts off the sentence by saying, America remains on target for Islamic conquest. And I sit here and I read that and I read it again, and I wonder how gullible, or basically how dumb, can the American public be by accepting this problem into the fold?
Well, again, we keep thinking that those 535 congressional critters are working for us, but the facts absolutely betray that, because they have not stopped diversity visa importation. They have not stopped the chain migration. They have not stopped the 350,000 anchor babies. They haven't stopped literally 500,000 illegal aliens crossing the border every year, as reported by Dr. Stephen Camarada at the Center for Immigration Studies, CIS.org. Look these facts up. I am giving the facts here, and the facts are that we are literally being invaded, and our Congress, our House members and our senators are still, right now, today, on this date, are not doing anything to stop it. That's what we're facing right now, Zip.
I know it.
Our own leaders
are
not stopping this invasion of our country, both legal and illegal, and certainly the Islamic invasion that's just mounting with more numbers each day. As we're allowing importing 100,000 immigrants every 30 days into the United States of America, and nobody seems to understand the long-term consequences except you and me and everybody listening on this show. But this should be out on 60 Minutes. I mean, I watch 60 Minutes on Sundays, and they talk about some terrible, Boston medics is screwing all the people with these mesh things. Well, they should be reporting on how we're losing our country to mass immigration, and I would certainly be one of the top speakers to do that, but so would Bob Dane and Dan Stein, certainly Jack Alpert, and some of the other top people out there.
Yes.
We need to get this into the forefront of the American people, because if not, this thing is going to continue, and we, literally at some point down the line, whether it's 2030 or 2040 or 2020 or whatever it is, we're going to lose our country.
I agree.
It's going to be a fragmented, fractured nightmare for all of us. And we need to stop it now.
I agree.
HuntersUSA.org, CapsWeb.org, CarryingCapacityNetwork.org. Please join those organizations to save your country for your children, instead of giving it over to this unbelievable onslaught of mass immigration.
Amen. Frosty Woldridge will have much more time to visit next week. I'll be on the phone to you before then anyway. God bless you, sir. Thank you for being on the program this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Don't forget, Wayne Shank wants your vote tomorrow for Minidoka County Commissioner District 1. And Wayne has extensive agricultural and business savvy and has been involved with the Minidoka Highway District, planning and zoning, and the Minidoka school system. There is a great opportunity in Minidoka County for future planned growth, and Wayne Shank wants to help. Vote May 15th for Wayne Shank, Minidoka County Commissioner District 1. Leadership and vision paid for by the committee to elect Wayne Shank, Stephanie Merrigan, treasurer. Also want to remind you about Clark Kaufman, and of course Clark Kaufman wants your vote tomorrow. And Representative Clark Kaufman, a Filer area farmer and small businessman, wants to be reelected as your District 25B representative to the legislature. Don't forget, honest, hardworking, and capable. Remember to vote tomorrow, Tuesday, May 15th. Vote for Clark Kaufman for State Representative, District 25, Seat B, Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. And right now, Wheels, could we have this good word for Bob Nonini?
Bob Nonini, candidate for Lieutenant Governor, a principled conservative, successful small business owner, legislator, and leader in Idaho. Bob Nonini has earned a 100% rating from the American Conservative Union and received an A+ rating from the National Rifle Association. Bob Nonini, Idaho roots, conservative values, proven results.
Hi, I'm Bob Nonini, and I'm passionate about becoming your next Lieutenant Governor. Being an Idaho native, I grew up understanding the values of hard work and dedication. Overzealous federal regulations have driven natural resource-based industries out of Idaho. As Lieutenant Governor, I will advocate for legislation allowing these industries to responsibly operate, providing jobs and continued economic growth. Idaho needs strong leaders who allow their faith, experience, and integrity to do what is necessary in creating a better life for our residents. Experience matters. Experience counts. The choice is clear. Idaho needs Nonini on May 15th.
Paid for by the committee to elect Bob Nonini for Lieutenant Governor. Hogue, Treasurer.
Thank you very much for that information. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd also like you to be aware of our dear friend Fred Wood. Wheels, this good word for Representative Fred Wood.
Re-elect Representative Fred Wood, District 27. Here's Fred's views on health care.
Zeb, the American healthcare system is not sustainable because it is too expensive. I will continue funding more primary care residency positions to increase access to primary and preventive care. I will also continue to explore ways to decrease the cost of pharmaceutical drugs, a primary driver of healthcare costs. We must reduce healthcare costs.
Vote May 15th. Representative Fred Wood, District 27, paid for by the committee to re-elect Fred Wood, Steve Westfall, Treasurer.
Don't forget, tomorrow on Tuesday at 9:30, we've got Vicky's Country Garden coming on my program, and a program named after me, Gardening for Idiots. I'm not a very good gardener, but I'm learning, and you can too. And we take all your calls and questions for about 15 minutes. Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-5663. Be listening tomorrow morning at 9:30. We have this good word for Brad Little.
When electing a governor, character counts. That's why Congressman Mike Simpson is endorsing Brad Little. Mike Simpson knows that Brad Little's word is his bond. Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will protect our water rights from radical environmentalists. And Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will keep the Second Amendment strong. Here's Congressman Mike Simpson.
Brad Little is a third-generation Idaho rancher who will fight hard for our conservative values. Brad will never buckle to liberal pressure. He'll stand up to federal bureaucrats who want to take our water and our land, and he'll defend our Second Amendment rights to protect our families and our property. Brad Little is a tax cutter. Brad Little is pro-life. Brad Little is the conservative you can trust.
On May 15th, join Congressman Mike Simpson in voting for Brad Little. A rancher, a conservative, a courageous leader. Brad Little will be the strong governor Idaho needs. Paid for by Brad Little for Governor. Vicki Risch, Treasurer.
And thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to, if you need furniture, and we all do at times, sofas, love seats, recliners, and of course all the carpeting and the luxury vinyl planks, all of this and more encourages you to stop in at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Jeff and the rest of the crew helping you get everything spruced up for the rest of the summer and, of course, really beautify your home. Stop in and talk to the professionals that understand and can and will help you at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Right now in the studio with us, and he's a welcome relief for everything that's been going on this morning. And we say a good morning to Mr. Leonard Beck, and he's running for District 1, Cassia County Commissioner. Good morning, Leonard. How are you?
Good. How are you this morning?
Well, as you can tell, a little bit busy. How's the campaign going for you to be, if everything goes right, Commissioner for District 1, Cassia County Commissioner?
We are moving ahead. We've been talking to numerous people and receiving their support, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to serve Cassia County.
What do you think, Leonard, is the big hot button or the big issue that needs to be addressed right now from the Cassia County Commissioners?
From my view, it appears that as the county continues to grow, that we need to meet the expectations of the residents of Cassia County. And some of those, I shouldn't say residents, but some of those needs that Cassia County needs right now is the proper infrastructure as the county continues to grow with industry, and also the protection for our residents and the educational needs for our youth.
Now, when you say proper infrastructure, explain that.
Well, as businesses grow and expand in Cassia County, the infrastructure such as the roads, they need to be appropriately in place to help with that growth.
Okay, but that also takes a lot of money. Where's the money going to come from?
That's probably the number one question that's on everyone's mind as the county continues to grow. What is going to be the funding mechanism? We recognize that the funding mechanism is a tax levy, and so we need to be very careful with the financial requests that are being asked for Cassia County.
You know, Leonard, Cassia County, and for that matter, all of southern Idaho, now all of a sudden it's being seen, it's being listened to, and it's being moved into by people that are treating this state as all of a sudden the newfound land. How are you going to equate growth, economic growth, and then also keep a parity and a strength with agriculture?
We need to not forget that Cassia County is an ag-related county. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't grow. With that, though, the needs of the residents of Cassia County need to be met, listened to, and then pursued. Now, part of the growth of Cassia County will be proper jobs. And as those jobs come in, we need to have the workforce prepared to meet those jobs, and that workforce is our youth.
Now, with the growth, and you mentioned the jobs and more people coming in, I guess my question to you is, why in the world would you want to be a county commissioner at this stage when really there's so much happening and you can't make any mistakes?
Well, I was raised in a home where service was just a part of life. And for what we have been blessed with, it is our responsibility to give back. And that's certainly my driving force, is to give back to this county, which has given me. Now, with that said, the numerous individuals that have come and solicited my involvement in this race is part of that reason why we are a candidate, or I am a candidate for the Cassia County Commissioner.
We have a caller with a question for you. If you can hear it in the headsets, go ahead, caller, quickly. You're on the air.
I heard him mention infrastructure, the roads and so on, and Zeb and Leonard. My concern is still these damn railroad track crossings that nobody wants to take responsibility for. And I think the roads are next in line. We need to get something done.
All right, we'll have Leonard respond to that on the air. Go ahead, Leonard, if you would, please.
Well, the railroad crossings, the only thing that a county commissioner could do is to represent those residents of the county in those specific areas in a discussion with the railroads. That is their responsibility. Now, we also need to understand that the roads are separated into respective highway districts. There are only a few roads that are unorganized up in the outreached areas of the county. And so railroad crossings would simply be an issue that I could be in a discussion with the appropriate authorities. But as a commissioner, that would not be I could not offer the means of financial help in that.
I understand. You know, we are in the middle of a very busy day, the last day before the primaries. Leonard, stand by, if you would, please. We have this good word for Tommy Ahlquist.
Jeff, what are you doing out here in the barn?
Just shoveling horse manure, but not as much as those professional politicians are shoveling.
Oh, yeah. You hear their latest ridiculous attacks on conservative Republican Tommy Ahlquist?
No, what?
That he's a Democrat.
You're kidding.
Yeah, what a joke. Tommy's voted Republican in every election. He's never voted for Hillary Clinton or any Democrat. In fact, he's a top Republican donor who's donated to both Butch Otter and Brad Little.
And he's endorsed by Mitt Romney.
Yeah, Tommy was endorsed by Mitt Romney because Tommy Ahlquist is a lifelong conservative. And like President Trump, he'll shake up the status quo.
29 years of professional politicians who are desperate to hold on to their power is long enough.
Jeff, where you going?
I'm going to vote conservative political outsider Tommy Ahlquist.
Hey, wait. I'm going to vote for Tommy, too.
Conservative political outsider Dr. Tommy Ahlquist. Strong leadership, fresh approach. Paid for by Tommy for Idaho. Orville Thompson, Treasurer.
Thank you. Don't forget, too, Ben Crouch wants your vote to become Jerome County District 1 County Commissioner. Ben Crouch says it's time for a fresh approach in Jerome County leadership, and he's the man for the job. Ben has the business knowledge and the ability to solve problems, and his decisive leadership will help Jerome County. Vote for Ben Crouch, Jerome County District 1 Commissioner on May 15th, tomorrow, paid for by the committee to elect Ben Crouch, Treasurer. We're in the studio right now with Leonard Beck, and he's running for Cache County Commissioner District 1. Leonard, when you made some comments to me before we got all your ads started on my program, etc., you're very concerned about education in the state of Idaho and keeping kids here. Explain your position on that.
Right now, as the county sees the growth that we're seeing in industry and businesses, those businesses are going to require a workforce, and I would like to be a voice that would assist the Cache County School Board in a vision of what is needed for those appropriate jobs as they become available so that our youth can stay here and raise their families here.
You know, Leonard, I'm not going to mention any names because tomorrow I think it's fitting that I'm going to have kind of my election day vetting on what I think is good, bad, and ugly. But I think there are some candidates in the state that have really denigrated Idaho's education and said, well, we're at the bottom of the barrel, and these kids, like that one commercial shows them being led off by a school bus in a desert wasteland. I don't like that. My kids have been highly successful. All the kids that graduated with my children are highly successful, and they went to Idaho small schools. I think it's about time that we started praising our kids and our teachers and our education and not running them down. How would you respond to that?
I agree with that. We do see those ads that were lowest in, or some of the lowest in regards to spending for our children's education. But then we also see a poll that we're 26th in the graduation rate of our youth. And so somewhere we're doing things right, but I think that comes back to Cache County and Idaho families that are helping their children be prepared.
Absolutely. We have another caller with a question. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air, please.
Mr. Beck, if elected, this is Earl Warthen, if elected and making our schools more efficient, would you be in favor of operating our schools 12 months out of the year, other than having them sit there for 3 months, 1/4 of the year, essentially somewhat quiet? And I'll listen in and see what your answer is.
Go ahead, please, if you would, Leonard.
Running them 12 months out of the year would create some challenges within itself. First of all is the faculties.
Yeah.
And so it would be inappropriate for me to respond that I would have a vision of how all that would undertake or be undertaken in the school system. And so until I could hear from the school board and the administration of how all the nuts and bolts of that would be put together, it would just be wrong for me to declare a position.
Absolutely. Leonard, I've got a weather forecast in a few minutes, but I want you to respond to, I know that you're very interested in property rights, private property rights. And it looks like over the last decade or more in this country, there's been a diminishment of private property rights and what people can and can't do on their property. What are your thoughts as a county commissioner, possibly, about private property rights and helping people in that regard?
You'll notice that if anyone has read the flyers that we have passed out, property rights is the number one issue that we are on record that we will defend. But I think many times we feel that a property right is a physical nature. What about the individual that's lived in an area in their home for 30 years and perhaps there is a development that wants to affect that value of that right that that person has to live and the value that they have for the environment around them. And those are things that I think a commissioner needs to be fully aware of and help to defend.
Absolutely. If you have questions for possibly Cassia County District 1 Commissioner-elect Leonard Beck tomorrow, give us a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The very best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits. All of this by folks that are really dedicated and responsive to your needs. Call for an appointment today at 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, serving you. Also, very fast, I want to remind you, too, about Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. All your four-wheelers, all your side-by-sides, all your fun. Sold right there at Let's Ride. Don't forget to stop in. They've got all the accessories and, of course, the best service department around to keep you running. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Yes, it's true, where the fun is sold. What about private property rights? We'll go to the weather in a minute, Leonard, but on a national level, it seems like Big Brother government is trying to diminish more of what we can and can't do on our property. I mean, how do you as a county commissioner stand up to that?
First and foremost, I feel that our county is doing an excellent job. We're seeing economic growth of almost $60 million a year. And so we're doing something right. Does that mean that our ordinances are overburdensome? They may be, and we need to look at that. But a personal property right is fundamental to the success of any area, and especially in Cassia County.
What do you feel is the big factor in Cassia County? Is it more businesses coming in? Is it an enhancement of the agricultural programs? I mean, what do you see if you had a crystal ball over the next 5 to 10 years in Cassia County?
If I had a crystal ball, I would probably be running for a different office than Cassia County.
So you're running for president now, right?
No, I'm not. I am not. But I would say for Cassia County to maintain the quality of life that we all enjoy,
right,
we need to have our local agricultural facilities, our businesses, our farmers to be prosperous and also to see growth in industry.
Absolutely. Caller, go ahead quickly. I've got 1 minute before the weather. Go ahead, please.
So he's for property rights. So my question is, where do you stand on the airport? And eminent domain.
All right, we'll have him answer that over the air. Leonard, it's a good question that needs to be asked about the airport, whether to keep the one you have or enhance a new one in another location, and also the eminent domain factor. Your thoughts, please.
If this individual would have been in attendance, and I don't know if he was or not, at the Republican Forum that was held, they would have heard my stance on the airport. First and foremost, there needs to be an effort made within the county to gather voices of what the residents of Cassia County would support. If the airport is a portion of their views that they would, or majority would raise that they would like to see that, then we need to talk. If the majority says no, then we need to reevaluate what the position is of those who want an airport. The other issue that I raised at that political forum would be that there would not be a tax levy on Cassia County residents to support an airport unless those residents want that airport.
Very well said. Thank you. Right now it's time for our weather quickly with Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. With the very best of locations, Burley and Rupert serving you with tax planning, tax return preparation, retirement planning, etc. All of this and more at Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this fine Monday, and honestly, not too bad, but expect precipitation and more thunderstorms in the forecast as we make our way through the work week. Mostly sunny skies for today, a light breeze out of the northeast, right around 10 miles an hour. Looking at mostly sunny skies with a high of 72. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 45. Tomorrow, scattered rain showers and thunderstorms off and on throughout the day, partly sunny skies with a high of 71. Clouds rolling in for tomorrow night, bringing along what? Some rain showers and more thunderstorms, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 47. For Wednesday, again, 30% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, partly sunny skies with a high of 73. And as we look ahead towards the end of the week on Thursday, again, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, high of 74. Friday, not going to change with a high of 72. That is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
And brought to everybody by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years, serving you in Burley and Rupert. Right now, wheels this good word for Brad Little.
When electing a governor, character counts. That's why Congressman Mike Simpson is endorsing Brad Little. Mike Simpson knows that Brad Little's word is his bond. Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will protect our water rights from radical environmentalists. And Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will keep the Second Amendment strong. Here's Congressman Mike Simpson.
Brad Little is a third-generation Idaho rancher who will fight hard for our conservative values. Brad will never buckle to liberal pressure. He'll stand up to federal bureaucrats who want to take our water and our land, and he'll defend our Second Amendment rights to protect our families and our property. Brad Little is a tax cutter. Brad Little is pro-life. Brad Little is the conservative you can trust.
On May 15th, join Congressman Mike Simpson in voting for Brad Little. A rancher, a conservative, a courageous leader. Brad Little will be the strong governor Idaho needs. Paid for by Brad Little for Governor. Vicki Risch, Treasurer.
Thank you very much. We're on the phone and on the air right now with Leonard Beck, Cassia County Commissioner, District 1, hopes to be elected tomorrow on Tuesday, May 15th. And we have another call, and then I want to get into one last segment here this morning with Leonard. Caller, quickly, I'm almost out of time. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Leonard, I was very in favor of a regional airport over at the intersection of 93 and the interstate, and it would have been in Jerome County. And I realize, this is not really your issue, but you see, it's all our issue because Twin Falls is the fastest-growing municipality in southern Idaho, in Idaho, and maybe in part of the western United.
Quickly, caller, I'm almost out of time. Make your point, please.
We need to have a regional airport instead of one over here. I was just wondering what he thought. I'll hang up.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Leonard.
I think it would behoove all the counties to get together and discuss where the need of an appropriate airport is, and I'll leave it at that.
What about law enforcement for Cassia County? I know a lot of the officers. I've known a lot of the sheriff's deputies, etc. And I think Cassia County should be commended on the law enforcement that they have available, but it's a big county and they can't always be everywhere where they're needed at the drop of a hat. What are your thoughts as a county commissioner about law enforcement for the future in Cassia County?
I likewise commend the city officials and also the current county commissioners in their involvement in the discussion for a joint law enforcement agreement to protect the citizens of Cassia County. Recognizing that we'd all like to see more police officers on the ground, walking, and in their cars so that we have that feeling of protection. We need to recognize that at $80,000 a police officer, it all comes down to where is the funding to hire more police officers.
Absolutely. Leonard, I have 1 minute for you to give your plea for everybody to go vote tomorrow for you, Leonard Beck.
I'd just like to remind the residents of Cassia County that this election is not about one specific person. It is about the residents of Cassia County. And as a lifelong resident of Cassia County, my wife is a lifelong resident. We raised our children here. I value your voice, and as a representative of that voice, I would do everything in my power to make sure that Cassia County is ongoing and provides all the necessities for us in the future.
Leonard Beck running for Cassia County Commissioner District 1, and I would imagine probably tomorrow you're going to take the day off and roll that recliner as far back as it goes, stick a pillow under your neck and say, whew, right?
That is not. Tomorrow is simply another day. We have our day planned out, and we'll fulfill that to the best of our ability where we're asked to serve.
Leonard, thank you for being on the program. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Right now, let's have this good word for Fred Wood.
Integrity serving you. Re-elect District 27 Representative Fred Wood on May 15th. Fred has protected the economic value of Idaho's water. Fred has worked diligently to increase education funding and higher teacher salaries. Fred has stood firm for tax cuts and low taxes with a small, efficient government. Re-elect Fred Wood. District 27 on May 15th. It's true. Integrity serving you. Paid for by the Committee to Re-elect Fred Wood, Steve Westfall, Treasurer.
And don't forget Lee Hyder running for re-election for State Senator District 24. The best always stand the test, and Idaho Senator Lee Hyder is one of the best. He wants your vote tomorrow on Tuesday, May 15th, to continue being your senator for District 24. Remember, Lee Hyder for State Senator, paid for by Lee Hyder for State Senate District number 24. And before we go any further, I also want to remind you about Lori Likely, and she wants your vote, and she is running for the Idaho House, seat 25A. Don't forget, Lori is part of a fourth-generation ranching family and native Idahoan. And, of course, she has most recently served as president of the Idaho Cattle Association and director to the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. She knows, she cares, and she wants to work for you. Lori Likely for Idaho House, seat 25A. Paid for by the committee to elect Lori Likely, Bill Likely, treasurer. Right now, wheels, if we could please, this good word for Tommy Ahlquist, and then take us up to CBS News. Thank you very much. And right now, Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and welcome to hour number 3. It's been a zoo this morning. Busy. And again, our thanks to our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with road trip savvy to keep you running safe on great tires. Stop in and see them today. Also, some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Don't forget, Carl Hansen wants your vote tomorrow, May 15th, to be your Minidoka County Commissioner. Carl has the leadership experience as a hospital CEO for 29 years, 18 of which were at Minidoka Hospital. He's an organizer and a communicator. Carl Hansen wants to address the challenges in Minidoka County and help solve them. Paid for by the Carl Hansen for Minidoka County Commissioner Committee, Jason Gibbons, treasurer. Also, want to remind you real fast about our dear friend Scott Bedke. He's running unopposed, but Scott Bedke, State Representative, District 27, Seat A, Speaker of the House, very concerned about Idaho and its growth and prosperity, and he urges you to go vote tomorrow. Stand up and let your voice be heard in this very important time of the year. Don't forget, Scott Bedke, State Representative, District 27, Seat A, also Speaker of the House, paid for by Representative Scott Bedke, Sarah Bedke, treasurer. Right now, this good word for Brad Little.
When electing a governor, character counts. That's why Congressman Mike Simpson is endorsing Brad Little. Mike Simpson knows that Brad Little's word is his bond. Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will protect our water rights from radical environmentalists. And Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will keep the Second Amendment strong. Here's Congressman Mike Simpson.
Brad Little is a third-generation Idaho rancher who will fight hard for our conservative values. Brad will never buckle to liberal pressure. He'll stand up to federal bureaucrats who want to take our water and our land, and he'll defend our Second Amendment rights to protect our families and our property. Brad Little is a tax cutter. Brad Little is pro-life. Brad Little is the conservative you can trust.
On May 15th, join Congressman Mike Simpson in voting for Brad Little. A rancher, a conservative, a courageous leader. Brad Little will be the strong governor Idaho needs. Paid for by Brad Little for Governor. Vicki Risch, Treasurer.
And good morning, good morning. Let's check over with my engineer, Wheels. Do we have Mr. Brad Little on the phone?
Yes, sir, we do.
Thank you very much. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, I get a chance to talk to an old friend, and he's running for governor tomorrow in the primaries to get your vote. Brad Little, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How you feeling? Last time I talked to you, you were under the weather.
Well, you know, I had that sickness or whatever it was, bronchitis, for over a month, but this week I'm up, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I'm ready to go. How is everything for you on your campaign?
Good. We're one thing about it, the last week of April and the first 2 weeks of May, the state of Idaho just looks good from one end to the other. And, not that I wouldn't have mind being at the ranch, because the ranch looks pretty good too, but it's been good to be all over the state and see old friends and new friends in every corner of the state. But we're winding her down right now, and I know that your listeners, as well as everybody else, is ready for this election to be over.
Brad, let me ask you a question here regarding education. I've made the comment on my program, and I've made the same comment to many of the guests that have been on my show over the last 4.5 weeks, that I am a little sick and tired of some of the ads and some of the people saying, well, education in Idaho is at the bottom of the barrel, or it's a wasteland where our kids are dropped off with a school bus out in the middle of the desert and they're not learning. I take great offense at that, being a father and a grandfather, because I'm very proud of what my children have done. I'm very proud of what their classmates that graduated with them have done, and I don't think they have to take a back seat to anybody. What are your thoughts about Idaho education?
Well, that raises my blood pressure always when they say that, because I've been for years in enough classrooms and attended and spoken at enough graduations that I just know, and it's patently untrue. That ranking is a East Coast ranking based on things that our teachers and our school boards have absolutely nothing to do with. The attainment level of the parents. Obviously, incomes in Idaho aren't what they are in other states. That's one of the factors. Obviously, one of the factors is that the state pays for pre-K for all over the state, and we don't do that. So before we ever start talking about how our students do, we've got 3 strikes against us in this ranking, and it's only one ranking. If your son, daughter, or grandchild graduates today from a school in Idaho, and they take the ACT test, which is a college readiness test, they do better than Oregon, Washington, Utah, Nevada, Wyoming, and Montana. And how people buy into this, we are last when all our testing, at a minimum, we're at the middle of the pack. In many areas, we're at the top end. But that's somebody selling agenda they have, but it is discouraging to our teachers and to the population to think that's the case. So I agree with you.
Brad, why is it that education, people say, well, we're not getting enough funding, we're not having enough money? I know for a fact that the lion's share of the funding on the budget goes to education, but money doesn't always settle and fix all the ills. What about education if you're elected governor, what do you propose to do that would enhance and promote education even further than it is now?
Well, first, you have to talk about how important it is. But in this changing dynamic economy, even in my field, even in agriculture, the amount of technology that exists today compared to what it did, 10 years ago, or heaven forbid, 40 years ago when I was in school, is vastly different. So we have to continue to give our kids more skills. And the kids today have got a lot of challenges that didn't exist before. But one thing we absolutely have to do is be competitive in teacher pay. We always get a good value. We get a good value for everything we do in the state, for how we manage our resources, how we take care of our roads, how we educate our kids. And people in Idaho are glad that we get a good value. But today, given the growth we got in the state, we need to dedicate part of that growth to rewarding our teachers. And really important to me is, if you're talking about our kids and grandkids, we need to recruit the best and the brightest into the teaching profession. And you have to have competitive teacher pay to be competitive.
Brad, one of the big issues right now, not only here in the state of Idaho, but across the board, the entirety of the United States, is the health care mess. And I'm going to refer to it as a mess, and it is. As a governor of this state of Idaho, what can you do or what can you propose to try to get health care costs down with better coverage?
Well, prior to the Affordable Care Act, to Obamacare, if you were a resident of Idaho, particularly if you were an individual buying insurance or a small business, our insurance costs in Idaho were the most competitive of every state in the union. Sometimes we ranked first, sometimes we ranked second or third as far as having the most affordable insurance. When Obamacare came in, it just flipped everything upside down. Everything we've done in Idaho, our high-risk pool, where we put people that had, had higher risk, the affordability of our insurance. We were promised by our friends in Congress and the President that they were going to repeal and replace Obamacare. That didn't happen. So as a result, and it was a conversation the governor had with Secretary of Health and Human Services and an executive order that the President wrote. Idaho's the first state to raise their hand and say, we want to fix this. And so we are, I think, within a week or two, Director Cameron, Dean Cameron, who used to represent your local area down there, is doing a really good job as Director of the Department of Insurance. We are going to offer plans, non-Obamacare plans, that should slash the cost of health care by anywhere from 30 to 60%, depending upon where we end up. And we're doing that right now because Congress has kind of indicated that their ability to repeal and replace is just not going anywhere, given the fact that we're in an election year, and we feel it's our moral obligation to help the citizens of Idaho with more affordable insurance.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the economy and also people coming in here, businesses coming in here. It looks like Idaho is really a newfound land for many across the United States to move here because of our climate, our environment, etc. What are your thoughts, as you've listed many times, better jobs and a stronger economy, but how do we put that forth?
Well, a lot of the people that are coming back are people that left Idaho when our kids left for a chance at another place. I run into so many people and new businesses that have a family relationship. Perhaps they were here at one time. Perhaps they've got relatives that are here. And a lot of this is coming out of what I call the left-wing states, Oregon, Washington, and California. And a lot of them just want the family values that we have here. A lot of them want the freedom to start a small business. A lot of them just want the opportunities that we have here in Idaho. And I would be, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't welcome them when they got here. Now, if they want to change it to be like where they came from, I and the rest of the people of Idaho will probably object to that. But we have to allow that to happen. But a lot of our small businesses, our new small businesses and large businesses, are people that have moved back to Idaho that see the economic liberty we have here, see our incredible family values that we have here, and we have to be welcoming to them. But we also have to manage that growth. A little of that's the state's job. A lot of it is your local county and city's job to manage that growth.
Brad, I want to ask you a few questions about the state of our population right now increasing, and with more people coming in, it's going to mean more services, it's going to cause more expenditures, etc. Then how, at the same time, can you promote for lower taxes here in the state of Idaho? Explain that, please.
Well, right now, to date, the state of Idaho, we're $100 million over our forecasted budget. And so if you have a good system that works, to where growth pays for itself, those new people are coming in, and out of that $100 million that we have today, half of it, or a quarter of it, will be dedicated to putting it away in a rainy day fund, so if things slow down, we don't have to increase taxes. Another quarter of it's going to go in to our roads, both local roads and state roads. And the other half of it's going to be available to either maybe to do tax relief. I just read an article this weekend that talked about the big federal tax bill that took place in December. Idaho was the first state, and one of the only states, that took that federal tax bill, adopted it, and then made it to where we weren't causing an unintended increase in taxes on our citizens. A lot of other states just adopted the federal tax code and had a windfall of 100 or 200 or some of these states $400 million. That's not what we do in Idaho. We don't put that burden on our citizens. We want to keep taxes down, but we also want to take that growth and invest it in the areas where we need, which is education and infrastructure, and then put some of it away for a rainy day. Today, if you're a citizen of the state of Idaho, your debt per capita is less than any of the other states. We have the least amount of debt per capita, and I think that's what the people of the state of Idaho that I talk to want. They want us to be fiscally prudent, but then invest in our infrastructure and education so that the economy can continue to prosper.
One of the issues that really bothers me every year, and we all have to be cognizant of it, is our Idaho water. And there's a lot of people and other groups that want to make demands on our water, whether it's for a fish flush or whatever. As the potential governor of the state of Idaho, how are you going to stand up for our water retention and also tell these other groups you're going to fight for us and not help them?
Well, Zeb, you're exactly right. You have to be active on it. A passive position by either the governor or the legislature, you're going to allow downstream interests or the federal government to have a claim on our water. And so that takes active management. When I first got to the Senate, the first committee I wanted to be on was the Resources Committee, because they have jurisdiction over water. I'm an irrigator. I'm a surface irrigator. I'm a groundwater irrigator. I understand that issue well, but what you have to understand is water is different in almost every corner of the state. And you need to understand the fundamental differences and how collectively we have to work together. You know, Scott Bedke did absolutely an incredible job of coming to a resolution on the big threat to water in Idaho by, instead of having all the farmers pay a bunch of lawyers, they got together and collectively agreed on a solution to it. We are recharging our aquifer at a rate beyond any expectation we had. And we have to continue to do that, because the most affordable place for us to store water in Idaho is back in that incredible aquifer that we have. And that is going to be so important today, and it's going to be important in the future to secure the agriculture and, frankly, the entire lifestyle of the state of Idaho.
There are various factions, Brad, that I think are trying to curtail or even stop my use of public lands, my access to public lands. As the potential governor, what would you say about ensuring access to public lands for all usage?
Well, I cut my teeth on that. I started off representing the livestock industry against threats from the federal government and from different groups. Before I was in the legislature, the Clinton administration proposed a big lockup of federal lands, a big roadless plan, and myself as a rancher, one of the timber companies, one of the tribes, and the off-road vehicle people went together collectively. We sued the Clinton administration. We won. And after that, after the Clinton administration came in, when Jim Risch became governor, he started it, and then Governor Otter finished it. And Idaho is one of only 2 states with our own roadless plan, where we're the masters of our own destiny as far as access onto federal land. Today, the timber industry in Idaho, these forest lands that haven't been managed well, that are the big threat to our air quality in the summer when they all catch on fire. Idaho, again, is leading in our management of the state raising their hand and say, look, this ground needs to be better managed. These forests need to be thinned. We need to reduce the risk around, rural communities. We've got a lot of work to do there, and Idaho is leading there. And so I'm an advocate for more state management, but leaving those properties in the hands of the federal government and being a true partner with them to preserve access and to preserve, our ability to for those lands to pay their way as far as what they cost counties and rural communities.
Brad, I've got about 2 minutes left, and I'd like you at this time to share with us any other issues that you'd really like to bring forth in front of my audience, and then also tell everybody why they should go to the polls tomorrow and vote for you.
Well, our constitutional republic absolutely requires participation. Every one of the issues that you brought up, Zeb, to me, I look at through one lens, and that's how do we create the best possible opportunity for our kids and grandkids to stay here so we don't export them. And that's all over Idaho. And that's people that have been here for generations like our family has, or somebody just moved here a couple of years ago. We want to create the best possible opportunity to maintain our family values, to maintain an atmosphere to have a good job and increasing incomes. And that's how I look at every decision that will go across the governor's desk. And education, economic development, water, health care, every one of them is part of that lens to make those decisions. I'm very comfortable with that, and if I'm successful, that's how I'm going to cover it.
Lieutenant Governor Brad Little running for governor. And Brad, thank you so much for sharing with us on the program this morning. Good luck and God bless. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Zeb. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Lieutenant Governor Brad Little running for governor, and, of course, the big vote tomorrow on May 15th. Don't forget, too, Kent Searle wants your vote to become District 3 Cassia County Commissioner on May 15th. Kent Searle has lifelong resident of Cassia County, has the experience of being a farmer and a dairyman, and service to you as an EMT and first responder. Don't forget he's gained your trust serving on the Ag Advisory Committee and the Gateway Power Line Committee. Kent Searle says, together, we can make Cassia County even better. Kent Searle for District 3, Cassia County Commissioner, May 15th, tomorrow. Dan Gammon, Treasurer. And we've got a couple of extra good words that we need to get on here this morning, including also for Terry Kramer. Terry is running for re-election for Twin Falls County Commissioner. Twin Falls County is strong and prosperous, and Terry Kramer wants to keep it that way, and he wants to work for you. He wants to address the major issues to keep Twin Falls County strong. Don't forget, vote tomorrow, May 15th, for Terry Kramer for Twin Falls County Commissioner, paid for by the committee to elect Terry Kramer, Treasurer, Les Prater. And wheels at the station right now, this good word for Brad Little.
When electing a governor, character counts. That's why Congressman Mike Simpson is endorsing Brad Little. Mike Simpson knows that Brad Little's word is his bond. Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will protect our water rights from radical environmentalists. And Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will keep the Second Amendment strong. Here's Congressman Mike Simpson.
Brad Little is a third-generation Idaho rancher who will fight hard for our conservative values. Brad will never buckle to liberal pressure. He'll stand up to federal bureaucrats who want to take our water and our land, and he'll defend our Second Amendment rights to protect our families and our property. Brad Little is a tax cutter. Brad Little is pro-life. Brad Little is the conservative you can trust.
On May 15th, join Congressman Mike Simpson in voting for Brad Little. A rancher, a conservative, a courageous leader. Brad Little will be the strong governor Idaho needs. Paid for by Brad Little for Governor. Vicki Risch, Treasurer.
And thank you very much. And before we go to the break at the bottom of the hour, this good word, please. Wheels for Representative Fred Wood.
Re-elect Representative Fred Wood, District 27. Here's Fred's views on money and politics.
Zeb, 85% of Idaho citizens believe we should have more financial transparency and disclosure in our political system. As chairman of the Interim Committee on Campaign Finance Reform, I will continue to work tirelessly to bring real transparency and disclosure to money in politics in Idaho.
Vote May 15th. Representative Fred Wood, District 27, paid for by the committee to re-elect Fred Wood, Steve Westfall, Treasurer.
And thank you very much. Don't forget, too, that Jim Patrick is rerunning for election on tomorrow, District 25 State Senate. Jim Patrick, a man that has been a 40-year farmer, 20-year bank director, and absolutely understands the business issues and agricultural issues for the state of Idaho. He wants to continue to support the rural areas of Idaho and help you. Don't forget, re-elect State Senator, District 25, Jim Patrick, paid for by Jim Patrick for State Senator, District 25. Thank you. Let's send it back over at this time to our main studios, and we will be back in just a few moments.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back. And poor old Wheels, I tell you what, he's been punching the buttons. Would you please play this good word for Tommy Ahlquist?
Jeff, what are you doing out here in the barn?
Just shoveling horse manure, but not as much as those professional politicians are shoveling.
Oh, yeah. You hear their latest ridiculous attacks on conservative Republican Tommy Ahlquist?
No, what?
That he's a Democrat.
You're kidding.
Yeah, what a joke. Tommy's voted Republican in every election. He's never voted for Hillary Clinton or any Democrat. In fact, he's a top Republican donor who's donated to both Butch Otter and Brad Little.
And he's endorsed by Mitt Romney.
Yeah, Tommy was endorsed by Mitt Romney because Tommy Ahlquist is a lifelong conservative. And like President Trump, he'll shake up the status quo.
29 years of professional politicians who are desperate to hold on to their power is long enough.
Jeff, where are you going?
I'm going to vote conservative political outsider Tommy Ahlquist.
Hey, wait. I'm going to vote for Tommy, too.
Conservative political outsider Dr. Tommy Ahlquist. Strong leadership, fresh approach. Paid for by Tommy for Idaho. Orville Thompson, treasurer.
Thank you very much. And finally, here we are back in the studio right now to visit with our next guest. And I'm very honored to have State Representative, District 27, Fred Wood, in the studio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you this morning?
Well, it's been a busy, let's say, month and a half. I bet you can agree with that.
I can agree with that wholeheartedly.
You know, when you get ready for a re-election campaign or an election campaign, I mean, do people really understand how much work goes into it?
I don't think they do. I can tell you this. When Bruce Newcomb talked me into running 12 years ago to take his place, I had no idea how much work would be involved in an initial election. I mean, it was 15, 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, and that's all we did for 6, 7, 8 weeks.
You know, and the thing is, you have to be so organized, and you have to make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. There is no margin for error.
There is no margin for error, and there's a lot of state regulations and state rules that you need to comply with. I was amazed to find out that some people actually weren't doing that. But,
really?
Go to the Secretary of State's website and take a look. But the fact is that, it's hard work. It's a big deal. And
let me ask you this. If I were to run for a public office, let's say state representative or whatever, I mean, the know-how of where to go, what to do, how to get it done, I mean, that takes a long time to gather up that information, does it not?
If you're going to do it right, and if you're going to give yourself a chance, yes, it does. You literally should start months and months ahead of time, and you really ought to go seek some professional help about first of all, whether or not you should do that. Is that what you really want to do? The amount of time it's going to take you, because as state representative or state senator is a full-time job.
Okay, let's explain that a little bit. You know, I mean, it's not something that is just maybe a couple hours on a Monday afternoon. You basically are pretty tied up almost all the time, are you not?
Zeb, the only time that I am not working full-time whether I'm sitting at home in my office reading, whether I'm contemplating or talking to individuals about upcoming legislation, even a year ahead of time, et cetera, is when I literally just take a day off to go do something else, because I can tell you, people call on the weekends, people call on Saturday, Sunday, they'll call at 10 o'clock at night for problems that they have, legislation that they're coming up with. I mean, it truly is a full-time job. If you're going to be a good, effective state legislator, you better not plan on doing anything else.
You have to be also, and I'd like you to explain this a little bit, kind of a library of facts and what's happened in the past and what may happen in the future. You really have to keep yourself pretty well informed, don't you?
You do, and one of the real times when you really do is when you start evaluating legislation. Because when you're talking about legislation, it truly is in the details. I mean, every single word in a 20-page bill means something, and it can make the difference of whether that is a good piece of legislation or a bad piece of legislation. You sit down and try to read 15 or 20 or 25 pages and pay attention to every single sentence, etc. I've spent hours on a single bill just making sure that there's no unintended consequences to that bill. A good piece of legislation will frequently have 10, 15, sometimes even 20 drafts to it.
Wow.
And work on it for 6 months, 8 months, or even a year before you get a good piece of legislation.
Does a state representative not only have to be very sharp and be able to read and understand and comprehend the bills, but you also have to develop, I would say, some pretty good liaisons that can also help get you more information. Am I wrong?
No, you're exactly right. For instance, one of the things that I always do, and I learned this from, I learned this from my brother, Judge Wood. Whenever I would go, or whenever I do go to anybody, particularly an attorney, and talk to them about, I want you to look at this bill and I want you to tell me whether this comports with what you know about the law, etc. The first thing they do, and the first question he always asks is, Fred, what are you trying to do with this piece of legislation? And then from there, you at least get a concept. I have a good relationship with the Attorney General's office. I frequently go to the Attorney General and say, so-and-so brought me this bill, but I'm wondering about this paragraph of the bill and that paragraph of the bill. Would you look at this and tell me if this is in conflict with some other statute that's already in law? If we enact this, are there any unintended consequences to this, etc.? Then if it's in an area of expertise that I am not really familiar with, I sit on the Resources Committee. I grew up on a farm, although everybody knows that I haven't farmed. So I will frequently go to the chairman of that committee, Mark Gibbs, seed potato farmer, or other farmers on that committee, and say, please explain to me the consequences of what happens if this legislation passes, because this is going to come before the committee, and we're going to have to vote on this next Wednesday or Thursday or whatever. So you develop touchstones in the legislature that you can go to. The people have areas of expertise, and you can familiarize yourself with what happens.
We have a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller, quickly. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Fred and Zeb. Not quite noon, but anyway, my question is, why do people, not excluding yourself, you are a state representative and they want to run for governor, shouldn't they resign that before they go and try for another job? It's like in the private sector. If you're working for somebody and you're looking for another job, you're not doing a good job. What's your feelings on that?
All right, we'll have Fred address that issue on the air. Go ahead, Fred, please.
Caller, this is my thought about that. If you're going to be a successful candidate, and you're in the legislature, you can try and run for a statewide office and still stay in the legislature, but you're handicapping yourself. I don't know whether the state should pass a law that prohibits you from doing that, but I can tell you that if you don't resign your position and you try to do both, you are very significantly handicapping yourself in trying to do that. So anybody that wants to try that, I would tell them, you better go home and think about just exactly which one you want to do, because there's not room there to do both and have a successful campaign.
Fred, let me ask you this. You're running for re-election for District 27 State Representative. In your opinion, right now, probably 7-8 months before the next legislative session, what are the hot items, the big issues that you see looming on the horizon that really need to be addressed next legislative session that are going to make the state bigger and better?
Well, there's two things that we haven't resolved completely since I've been in the legislature. Number one is health care. We simply have to get a handle on the ever-increasing costs of health care. And that is a very difficult and complex issue, Zeb. That's not an issue that I have found a solution to yet, nor has anybody else.
If you did, you'd be considered the guru nationwide, would you not?
I believe that to be true, yes, because no other state has actually figured out exactly how to do it. Yes, they have actually come up with programs to actually cover people, but at a very significant cost. Nobody has figured out how to do this and have a sustainable system.
Is healthcare waiting for a template of cure, if you will, from the legislature that possibly could be an adaptation across the United States?
I think that rather than coming from the legislature, I think that there's a lot of private entities that are actually making significant headway in actually reducing and bending the cost curve going forward. The real problem with that is that there's a lot of components of the healthcare system that don't want any change. As a matter of fact, I see bills as chairman of the Health and Welfare Committee that come to me every year, making sure that there is no change and making sure that the status quo remains the same, because there's so much money in healthcare. It's staggering.
So in other words, don't cut the pork.
Don't cut the pork. That's exactly right.
Yeah. We have a caller with a question. Caller, go ahead, please. Quickly, you're on the air.
Yes, hey, Zeb, I'll try to make this quick. I was curious. I've heard Fred's advertisements with his views on health care and that kind of thing. I'm wondering if those views have changed since he retired from the profession, or if, those costs just suddenly skyrocketed overnight. Just kind of curious his take on that. Was it an issue when he was a practicing physician, specifically in an emergency room, or was that an issue then, or is this something that he just...
Okay, we'll have him answer over the air, and thank you. Thank you for your question. Go ahead, Fred.
That's a good question, caller. The cost of health, first of all, I graduated from medical school in 1972, and even then, the cost of prescription drugs was starting to increase significantly. That curve has accelerated every year since then. So I can remember even back in the mid-'70s, caller, that people were starting to say, we have an unsustainable system here. We are not, we're providing too much rescue care. We don't have enough preventive care. We're trying to treat things after the horse is out of the barn, if you will, and it's always been a concern. But I can tell you that with the increasing cost of pharmaceuticals at 10 to 20 to 30% a year, that has accelerated. But ever since I can remember in being in healthcare, everybody who has looked into it has understood that it's a system that is too expensive, particularly when you compare it to other nations and what other nations get and their outcomes.
Fred, let me ask you something before I go to the weather, and I don't mean to sound naive on this, but is this problem with health care honestly solvable?
To some extent, it is solvable, yes. But if you're looking at government to solve it 100%, no.
That's why I asked.
No. The private sector is going to have to step up and be a willing partner in solving this.
Can they, with government intrusion, though, can they step up?
Government is making it difficult.
Absolutely.
There isn't any doubt about that. And I understand what the Affordable Care Act tried to do, but it failed miserably.
Absolutely.
And that's the crux. Government has never been able to figure out how to do it, but they're so entrenched in healthcare.
In simplistic terms, and again, this is my statement, not yours. In simplistic terms, if the government were to just get away from it and let competition and companies and private individuals take it over and make it something that would be affordable state by state by state, is that feasible?
It is feasible as long as government understands that what their role should be is to make sure that there is true competition, Zeb. The problem is, and I referred to it a little bit ago, there's a whole bunch of private industry that wants nothing to do with competition. Competition, Zeb, drives down prices and lowers the bottom line. And that is just an anathema to business. They don't like that. And like I said, I see bills come before the legislature in healthcare all of the time. And a lot of those bills are designed to make doggone sure that there isn't any competition and that prices remain high.
State Representative District 27 running for re-election, Fred Wood. We'll have more in just a moment. Right now it's time for the weather, brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Delicious meats from Scarrows Meats in Jerome. Whether it's marinated prime ribs or smoked hams or all the different breakfast bacons and the sausages and the bratwurst, all of this and so much more at Scarrows Meats in Jerome. We're going to tell you more right after Gina has the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this fine Monday, and honestly, not too bad, but expect precipitation and more thunderstorms in the forecast as we make our way through the work week. Mostly sunny skies for today, a light breeze out of the northeast, right around 10 miles an hour. Looking at mostly sunny skies with a high of 72. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 45. Tomorrow, scattered rain showers and thunderstorms off and on throughout the day. Partly sunny skies with a high of 71. Clouds rolling in for tomorrow night, bringing along some rain showers and more thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy skies with a low of 47. For Wednesday, again, 30% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. Partly sunny skies with a high of 73. And as we look ahead towards the end of the week on Thursday, again, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. High of 74. Friday, not going to change with a high of 72. That is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. And remember, they're changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. In the studio right now, we have Representative Fred Wood running for re-election, District 27. Fred, it would be ridiculous for me to pick the subjects when basically, in essence, you're running for re-election. You tell me, what are some of the hot-button issues that you want to try to serve the Idaho public on this next legislative session?
Well, here's what's ongoing. First of all, the number one priority for Idaho is water.
Yes.
Well, we've got some issues coming down the pike with water that we have to just keep an eye on. At this point in time, we just have to understand that they're there, but we have to manage it and make sure that they do go well. First of all, the fill-refill issue on the Boise River, there is negotiated. I spoke with Speaker Bedke a few days ago. I think that they're getting pretty close to having that negotiated out so that that's not going to affect the negotiated settlements that we have on the eastern Snake Plain. Secondly, there's the issue of Idaho Power relicensing the Hells Canyon complex. We're in negotiations at this point in time with the state of Oregon. We have to make sure that the endangered fish doesn't get in the way of that negotiations and make sure that we can negotiate that to Idaho's satisfaction, which is no more downstream water to mitigate any of those agreements. And then lastly is the Columbia River Treaty has to be renegotiated. We need to watch that and make sure that those negotiations with Canada come out that doesn't jeopardize any particularly Snake River water, because everybody always looks at the Snake River water to mitigate any downstream agreements that require more water here or there or wherever.
Okay.
Secondly, Zeb, anything that government can do is always dependent upon the economy. Okay? I would like to go back and serve in the legislature again to make sure that we continue the economic boom that we have going on. If you look, I went to the legislature 12 years ago. Things looked pretty good the first couple of years. Then we went into the Great Recession. Probably my greatest accomplishment in my legislative career, it wasn't mine alone, but the state legislature managed to go through the state recession, or the Great Recession, and not raise taxes. We cut budgets. We protected education to the extent possible. Although they got cut, also everybody got cut. Some budgets got cut as much as 50%. We did it on three things. One, we had state reserves. Number two, we changed the way we did business. We looked at programs, and if the programs were not effective, we eliminated them. We also made every program as lean and as efficient as it could possibly be. Thirdly, we came out of that without raising taxes, and when we started to increase the budget, we made sure that the money was available to do that.
Fred, real quick, I've got about 2 minutes left. As you know, it's a busy day with commercials and political ads, but I want you to respond to education. You and I have talked about education many times on this program. The lion's share of the state budget goes to education, and there are those, politically speaking, that denigrate our kids, our education, and our teachers. I'm upset about this. I think we should be building them up instead of tearing them down.
Exactly. And this idea that we're in the bottom of the barrel that measures one single parameter that says that on a per student basis, we don't contribute what other states do. Well, that's true, but it has absolutely no bearing on outcome of those kids whatsoever. Another way of looking at that is that Idaho is second in the nation in terms of the amount of their general fund that they put towards education. We're not at the bottom, we're at the very top. But that also doesn't have anything to do with outcomes. If you measure outcomes based on SAT parameters or college admission test parameters, etc., we do better than the average state does. The students coming from Idaho come from excellent schools.
Fred, I'm going to give you exactly 1 minute to tell everybody why they should go to the polls tomorrow on Primary Tuesday and vote for you, Fred Wood, District 27.
I'll make a pitch to go to the polls and vote, period, Zeb. Here's the reason. We're getting a new governor. We're getting a new lieutenant governor, a new state treasurer, a whole new legislature. This is your day to have your say about which direction the state of Idaho goes. I want to thank all of you for allowing me to represent you for the last 12 years in the state legislature. You know exactly what I've done for the last 12 years. I'm asking for another 2 years. Please go to the polls and vote tomorrow. Thank you.
Representative Fred Wood, District 27, thank you for being on the program this morning. God bless. Thank you very much. While I have just a moment, I want to remind everybody, here's the good word for Brad Little.
When electing a governor, character counts. That's why Congressman Mike Simpson is endorsing Brad Little. Mike Simpson knows that Brad Little's word is his bond. Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will protect our water rights from radical environmentalists. And Mike Simpson knows Brad Little will keep the Second Amendment strong. Here's Congressman Mike Simpson.
Brad Little is a third-generation Idaho rancher who will fight hard for our conservative values. Brad will never buckle to liberal pressure. He'll stand up to federal bureaucrats who want to take our water and our land, and he'll defend our Second Amendment rights to protect our families and our property. Brad Little is a tax cutter. Brad Little is pro-life. Brad Little is the conservative you can trust.
On May 15th, join Congressman Mike Simpson in voting for Brad Little. A rancher, a conservative, a courageous leader. Brad Little will be the strong governor Idaho needs. Paid for by Brad Little for Governor. Vicki Risch, Treasurer.
And don't forget our major sponsor that we're very proud of because they do such a wonderful job serving you and your automobiles. Whether it's a car, a pickup, SUV, doesn't make any difference. Horse trailer, boat trailer. You need tires. The place to go is your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. They've got all the tires, all the different tread designs. They've got the best in brake service with highly trained brake technicians, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more waiting for you right now at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Don't forget Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers serving you. Right now, before we leave, this good word for Representative Fred Wood.
Re-elect Representative Fred Wood, District 27. Here's Fred's views on water.
Zeb, without water, Idaho as we know it would not exist. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in favor of salmon versus power production. As a senior member of the House Resources Committee, I will do everything within my power to stop downstream interests from taking Idaho's water.
Vote May 15th. Representative Fred Wood, District 27, paid for by the committee to re-elect Fred Wood, Steve Westfall, Treasurer.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up and put it back in the box for today. We're going to be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06 on Zeb at the Ranch. Saddle the horse and ride for 3 hours. And tomorrow, go vote. No excuses. Don't sit in the coffee shop and say, well, I didn't vote because of this and that. Get out and vote tomorrow. Don't forget that. We're going to be back here at 8:06 right here on KBAR 1230 AM and streaming live all over the world on ZebBell.com, and where we always say, remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning.